Welcome to the Digital Identity Digest, the audio companion to the blog at Spherical Cow Consulting. I'm Heather Flanagan, and every week I break down interesting topics in the field of digital identity, from credentials and standards to browser weirdness and policy twists. If you work with digital identity but don't have time to follow every specification or hype cycle, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. At the Identiverse 2026 speakers reception, I gave everyone in the room a piece of advice that they subsequently asked me to write down. And that advice was to take the selfie. Now, I don't mean take the selfie so you can immediately post your conference attendance to LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever platform is currently demanding proof that you are professionally alive and are having a meaningful time in public, right? And I do not mean take the selfie for the conference hashtag, the marketing recap, or the algorithmic gods who are already overfed and yet still are somehow hungry, right? All that is actually between you, your privacy choices, your comfort level, and your personal tolerance for becoming content, and the same considerations with the people in the photos with you. What I'm suggesting is to take the selfie for yourself. Take the picture because some moments are worth preserving, even if they never become public. Maybe especially if they never become public. Right. The Identiverse reception had the usual conference energy. People were looking for colleagues they already knew, meeting people they only know from email, and pretending they were not already tired, right? There were badges and drinks and clusters of conversation, and that very specific professional event calculation that happening in the background. How many more human interactions can I manage before I need to go stare quietly at a wall? And so in that mix is what I said and what I think I believe in quite strongly, and that's take that picture. Not every moment needs to become content, but some moments need to be remembered, right? Take the picture of the person you just met. Take the picture with the colleague you only see once a year, usually somewhere between the registration desk, a hotel lobby bar, and a hallway where neither of you meant to have a serious conversation but somehow did. Take that picture with the person whose work you've admired for years and who turns out to be funny, awkward, generous, brilliant, exhausted, or all of the above. Take the picture with the people you are building something with, the people you are arguing with, the people you're learning from, the people you're mentoring or being mentored by, the people you're simply enjoying in that particular moment, right? The point not being publication, the point being memory, right? Conferences are strange little temporary villages, right? We are all arriving from different places, wearing lanyards and carrying opinions, right? We compress months of conversation into hallway encounters, and we form working relationships over bad coffee, dinner reservations, delayed slide, and the shared indignity of hotel carpet. Also, sometimes scotch, right? We meet people in moments that feel ordinary at the time and later realize they weren't actually ordinary at all, right? A first meeting can become a collaboration. A casual hallway chat can become a project. Person you sat next to at lunch can become someone whose judgment you trust for years. The colleague you took a quick picture with because everyone was laughing may later become part of the story of your professional life. And yes, we're all introverts, right? So asking for a picture can feel awkward, so awkward, right? I'm not suggesting that everyone suddenly become the person who documents every room they enter. Please do not become that person, right? I'm also not suggesting that you interrupt every meaningful conversation by shoving a phone in the middle of it. Please don't do that either. But, a small moment of, hey, can we take a picture is actually not a very big ask. Most of the times people will actually, will understand why you're asking because someday you may want to look back and say, I knew this person when, or, I know when we first met. Memory is pretty unreliable, at least mine is, and I'm fairly sure this applies to many of us, whether or not we admit it. You remember the feeling, but not the year, right? You remember the conversation, but not the conference. You remember that someone introduced you, but you don't know who. You remember thinking, oh, this person is going to be important, but you can't quite place the room where that thought first occurred. Photos are going to help, right? A selfie is not just proof that something happened, it's like a small anchor point. It says we were here. We were this age. We were at this event in this city in this year. We were tired. We were happy. We were amused. We were skeptical. We were overdressed. We were undercaffeinated. We were pretending not to be jet lagged, right? We were in the middle of something, even if we did not yet know what that something would become. We were meeting our heroes or our new best friends or the person who would later become a trusted collaborator or a person who would somehow make a very difficult project feel possible. So when you can, add a name, a date, or a location. Future you will be grateful. Future you will also be annoyed at how often past you assumed you would remember everyone's last name. Past you was very optimistic and possibly overconfident. Now, there's a harder reason I give this advice, and this is not the part I said publicly at the reception, right? This is the part that makes me a little more than a little sad, and that's that sometimes people will predecease us, which is an awful formal phrase for a very human thing. People we care about are not always with us as long as we expect them to be. People we met through work or standards groups or conferences and committees, salons and projects and professional communities become part of our lives, and not always in obvious ways and not always in daily ways, but they matter. And when they're gone, you're going to find yourself searching your photo library, hoping you have something: a picture from that reception, a blurry shot from dinner, a selfie in the conference hallway, something with their smile in it, something that reminds you not just that they existed, but that you existed in that same moment together. Now, I have more than a few photos now that I didn't know were going to matter when I took them. At the same time, they were just quick conference pictures. We had bad lighting, poor posture, tired smiles, someone holding a glass, someone else leaning into the frame at the last second. But later they became something else. They became proof that I shared time with someone I would not get to see again. Now, I've had enough of those moments now to know that the regret, totally real. You do not always know at the time which pictures will become precious. And yes, we can all pause here to grab some tissues. Now, because we are adults, and apparently we must occasionally be practical, let's talk for just a moment about etiquette. Taking photos is one thing, posting it is another. Please keep these as separate decisions. Take the photo because you want to remember. Share it with someone because you want them to remember, but post it only if the people in it are comfortable with that. Always ask for permission before posting, always, especially at professional events where the stakes are not the same for everyone. Some people are private. Some people have safety reasons for being careful. Some people do not want their location broadcast. Some people are fine being in your personal photo library, but do not want to be part of your public feed, or anyone's public feed for that matter. Some people are happy to be posted, but only if they can approve the photo first. Some people simply hate the way they look in pictures, and that's okay. Consent is not a complicated ask here, so just ask. Would you mind if I posted this? Are you okay with being tagged? Personal archive only, or is social okay? And then respect the answer without making it weird, right? I'm going to say it again. The point of the selfie is not publication, right? It's memory, it's connection. There's something truly lovely about scrolling through a photo library and seeing so many smiling faces, right? It's not just nostalgia. There is something almost physically comforting about it, a little oxytocin release, perhaps. A reminder that my professional life has not just been documents and meetings and deadlines and panels and standards drafts and slide decks and inbox archaeology. It's been people. People laughing in conference centers, people leaning into the frame at receptions, people making terrible faces because one normal picture was apparently too much to ask. People at dinner tables, people outside venues, people caught in that particular conference state of being both delighted and completely out of social battery, right? These photos remind me that community is built in small increments. That shared project or a good argument or a hard conversation, right? All of these things matter. But so do the little proofs of human proofs of presence. The we did this. It's the, yeah, look how young we were. It was, that was the year everything changed. Hey, who knows? Maybe we're going to be able to say that was the year Samuel finally died. We can dream. But we're also going to say, I had no idea when this photo was taken how much this person would come to mean to me. Now, I've been in digital identity long enough to appreciate the irony of saying that a selfie matters, right? We spend so much time talking about credentials, assertions, proofing, authorization, trust frameworks, privacy, and all the ways systems try to establish who someone is and what they're allowed to do. A selfie is not that kind of proof. It's not authoritative. It's not interoperable. It does not come with metadata you should necessarily trust. It is not a credential. Don't make it one, right? It's something softer and more human. It's a reminder that before someone was a title or an affiliation or a speaker or a chair or a researcher or a funder or a critic, they were a person standing next to you in a room. That matters so much. At conferences, especially large ones, it is easy to be efficient at the expense of being present, right? There's always another session, another meeting, another person to find, another obligation, right? Another email you should have answered 3 hours ago. We move through these spaces as if the point is to maximize throughput. Sometimes it's worth pausing for 10 seconds. Hey, can we take a picture? All it takes. And not every person will say yes, that's fine. Not every picture will be flattering. Ask me how I know, right? That's also fine, though perhaps don't post the bad ones unless you're very sure that the friendship can survive it. Not every photo is going to be meaningful. Some will, most will probably sit in your library quietly documenting that you went somewhere and knew people. But some are going to become markers. That first time you met a future collaborator, the last time you saw an old friend, the year a community shifted, right? The moment when someone who had only been an email address suddenly becomes wonderfully, fully real. So yeah, take the selfie. Take it for your future self. Take it for the version of you who will want to remember not just what the agenda said, but who was there, right? Take it because professional communities are still communities, because the people who shape our work also shape our lives. Take it because memory deserves help. And then before you post it anywhere, ask. Do share it with who you took it with, but ask before you post, right? The algorithm does not get automatic rights to our joy. We're allowed to keep some of that joy for ourselves. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you again next week. And that's it for this week's episode of the Digital Identity Digest. If it helps make things a little clearer, or at least a little more interesting, share it with a friend or colleague and connect with me on LinkedIn at HL Flanagan. And if you enjoyed the show, do be sure to subscribe and leave me a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also find the written full post at sphericalcowconsulting.com. Now stay curious, stay engaged, and let's get these conversations going.